Karyn, good morning to you. Well, it is indeed that day of sentencing, the day of reckoning for Oscar Pistorius. We know that the state has asked for the minimum sentence of 15 years for murder, but in his defense, his lawyers have been asking that he cannot be sent to jail for that minimum sentence.
Absolutely, Dan. And I very much, Judge Thokozile Masipa walking into the sentencing knowing that if the state is not happy with the judgment that she metes out today, it is very likely to, as it has in the past, challenge her decision in court. So she really needs to give a decision today that will satisfy the state that justice has been done, but also to be tempered, as the defense argued, with a measure of mercy. Oscar Pistorius, they say, is not a typical murder accused. He's a former Paralympian amputee who they say has been shown to have acted out of vulnerability and anxiety. Of course, the state not accepting any of that, saying that Oscar Pistorius merely feels sorry for himself, that he has not shown any true remorse for taking the life of Reeva Steenkamp and devastating her family. And of course, the state using quite powerfully the evidence of Barry Steenkamp, Reeva's father, who heartbreakingly told the court through his tears how devastated his life had been in the wake of his daughter's death.
Now, Karyn, when Judge Thokozile Masipa walks into that court, most probably on the back of her mind will be the fact that her culpable homicide conviction earlier was set aside by the Supreme Court of Appeal. And she's going to want to make sure that in sentencing him for murder, she doesn't open any other possible doors for a legal challenge.
Well, that's absolutely the point. But remember, of course, that the Supreme Court of Appeal, in its last paragraph of that judgment in which it overturned Oscar Pistorius' culpable homicide conviction, being at pains to praise Judge Thokozile Masipa, particularly pointing out that as this case was the first one in South African legal history to be broadcast, the pressures that she already faced as a judicial officer had been intensified, and she had conducted herself with a great deal of dignity and decorum. Of course, the final days of sentencing procedures proving again this aspect of the broadcast dimension, when we saw Oscar Pistorius' legal team making the very unconventional choice to have him standing on his stumps in a courtroom. Also the heartbreak and drama of Barry Steenkamp. So the appeal court at pains to say that given what she was facing with this broadcast, she really conducted herself very, very well. But she will be aware, certainly, Dan, that that judgment was overturned, and that she needs to be very careful to not face a situation where, if the state perceives her sentence to be too low, it argues that it is shockingly inappropriate and seeks to appeal or challenge it in the Supreme Court of Appeal, which has already showed its viewpoint on Oscar Pistorius' conduct, describing him as an appalling witness and saying that his argument that he had really believed that he was acting in self-defense in the morning that he shot and killed Reeva Steenkamp was simply not rational and not accepting it. So she will be aware of those factors, and she will want to provide a ruling here that balances all the issues that have to be dealt with by a sentencing judge. Mercy for the accused, certainly, but a comprehension of the community sentiments, the comprehension of Reeva Steenkamp's family's feelings on this issue. They've made themselves very, very clear that they believe that he should have spent longer behind bars than the year that he served. And certainly the perceptions of the public in terms of, will justice really be done here today?
Thank you very much, Karyn Maughan, outside the High Court in Pretoria.